last time because I got a lot of stuff I'm thinking about. Definitely need you guys' help for anybody who comes through on this channel on a regular basis. I don't necessarily speaking, I don't know if this particular stream is going to last an extremely long time, but I definitely need you guys' input on some things that I've been thinking about for this channel as a whole. In the meantime, if anybody comes through who is a usual, you're more than welcome to come hang out. Like, we can just generally have a talk and answer questions if there's need to be. But I got some big thoughts that I'm having for this channel, and I really need maybe some general input from you guys who are typical watchers. So I know it's really early. It's very possible a lot of you guys are going to have to come back and watch this later if you have the opportunity to do so. But yeah, I definitely just been thinking about the direction that I want to take this channel as a whole. So first of all, good morning. Anybody who's new here, I'm Douglas Moon, or you can call me Andrew. That's my real first name. But I got some questions that I need some help with for you guys who maybe are regulars who come through this channel. If you're new here, I'm more than happy to talk with you guys and hang out. This might be a general stream. If you don't know, I stream on a regular basis and just kind of chill. I've been a fragrance channel so far, but I'm having some considerations about altering some of the things that I do on this channel or adding some stuff to it. And so, yeah, definitely would like some of my buddies here who are regular viewers and stuff to get your opinions if any of you guys end up being up this morning. And if not, I'm going to try to post a post and see if you guys can come back later and just tell me your personal thoughts. But for a long time, I've been strictly Douglas Moon Fragrance and kind of just doing reviews about fragrances, doing these live streams, answering questions about fragrances. But a big important thing for me during these live streams has mostly just been also the community aspect. A big thing about my live streams so far has been getting to know you guys and getting to know each other. Good morning. Good morning, Mick. Thank you for being here. Super happy to have you here because you're one of the people who I really would love to get your opinion on the things that I'm thinking about because, and Mick, like I said, very happy to have you here, brother. I've got some questions that I want to ask you guys who are typical watchers. And again, if anybody new stops through, again, I'm Douglas Moon. This is my fragrance channel, but I'm thinking about making some changes to the channel as a whole about the type of things I'm going to be doing going forward. The reason I'm saying that is I'm in a particular position at this point where, with the way my channel's been going, I feel like I have the opportunity to start incorporating some other things. I was going to start other channels, but I'm thinking, well, maybe I don't have to do that because, again, I'm not getting a serious enough traction in and of itself with the way I've been doing things. So I thought, what do I got to lose? If I want to do something and try something out, maybe I can. So again, this is going to still be a channel where I answer questions about fragrances and I do fragrance reviews on a routine basis and continue to do these streams and hang out with you guys. But lately, since I started doing these streams and just getting to meet other people out there and we get connect, there's been a lot of people who come through who don't even care about fragrances. There's been a lot of people who come through the streams who just hang out to do the talking, to talk about life. A lot of you guys have come through to pray with me and stuff and to talk about faith and things like that. And that's been really special for me. And at times I've been anxious about that because I don't want to alienate people. That's important to me that this channel is not just a place where I alienate people who don't share the same beliefs as me. Because first of all, I don't believe that's how you're supposed to live in this world. And second of all, I just want to welcome people of all walks of life to be a part of whatever it is that we could build here, to just hang out with each other. And still get back to, again, the original thing I did, which was fragrances. But for, I used to have a ministry personally as a Christian. That was a big part of my life, speaking at churches and as well, trying my best to study and educate through multiple Bible studies and things like that. Good morning, That Gaze. What's up? Thank you for popping through here. Appreciate you. I can't remember. Are you new here? I don't know if you've ever been to the channel before, but either way, good morning. You're more than welcome to hang out and talk. But yeah, definitely, I'm thinking about doing new things on this channel just for the sake of the fact that I feel like I can. If I had a much more successful, already in one stream channel, I probably wouldn't be doing this. And again, anybody who's popping through here and don't know who I am, don't give a crap. Hey, I totally, not here to sell anything to you. If you don't want to stick around, this is mostly for people who are usuals to the channel, or just anybody who wants to chill. But long story short, I kind of want to get people's opinions who are regulars here. Scrolling through, you're the first real person. So Well, thank you. I appreciate you popping through here. You are more than welcome to just stick around and chill. You may not care about some of the things that I talk about, but if you're interested in fragrances, again, that's been my general channel so far. You're welcome to ask questions, or if you just want to talk about anything, you're welcome to do that too. It's kind of the atmosphere that I like to create here. But again, my channel is starting to really grow at one point, and then it's become stagnant for certain reasons. Like I tried that YouTube promotion feature, and it really shut my algorithm down. And honestly, at first I was pretty frustrated about it, especially because like it happened after I got my silver play button. But I kind of been grateful that it happened to a certain extent, because where I thought I was going versus what I kind of want to do with it now. Like if I had not had gone stagnant, I wouldn't have started doing live streaming and realizing, wow, it's really neat to actually get to meet people out there when I've got these off times and stuff. When I'm not working, I get to chill with people and just kind of develop a community where there's a lot of folks out there who, you know, going through stuff like I used to, like going through sobriety. Honestly, I like to watch fragrance content with different creators, but your channel is the first one I found where I've been comfortable talking about. That's literally what I was about to say, Mick. Like when I've done these streams and there's people who like, again, I'm 7 years sober, really grateful to God for that. Like every day I'm thankful for the decisions that was able to be made to make changes. Cause there are a lot of people, if you want to talk about free will, really got to throw this out there. If you want to talk about free will, people on this one side of things who think, wow, there's no such thing. You are just a product of whatever experiences and reactions. For me, as someone who's 7 years sober, and I meet other people who became sober through their own like decisions, it is a blessing to have the freedom of choice, and then to understand how we really do have the ability to exercise that freedom of choice. Because I have a lot of friends. I can't count on 5 hands how many people in my life that I lost due to substance abuse. As you know, again, I'm 7 years sober. Before that 7 years began, I lived a whole different life for 12 years. And so a lot of people, more I've seen, did not come out the other side just because of the fact that unfortunately they did not see the ability to overcome. I think a lot of times in this life, again, I'm not trying to be too preachy, but anybody out there who's just come across my channel, I know you're thinking, who's this douchebag who's just talking about stuff like we should care what he's got to say. I totally understand that. And it's okay if you don't want to stick around. It's just me talking my thoughts. It's what we do here. And you guys are welcome. Let me see real quick. You have a lot of subs. I do, but a lot of my subscribers are inactive at this point. So that's kind of why I do this. Yes, douchebag. I like the way you spelled that, by the way. That's funny. Words from random popping up, everyone here. So it costs you nothing. But Mick, I really appreciate you, dude. But actually, it was funny. I'm going to start spelling douchebag that way. DOOSH. But anyway, yeah, again, like I've been a fragrance channel for a long time, but I gained like a lot of what I can see is very inconsistent and inactive subscribers. So for what it's worth, if you guys see my channel, I do have a silver play button, but my algorithm's been so dead, you might as well kind of look at it as if like I might as well just have like 100 subscribers. So don't even worry about the number that you see here, because what's more important to me, like I said, since my algorithm dropped and I started doing these live streams, it's just been really special to get to meet people out there and get to talk with y'all. And so, and doing these live streams, I got to realize there's a lot of people out there who, like me, got sober, or some of you guys are struggling with sobriety. And I realized, to me, it's a blessing from God. If I get to talk with strangers, like, yeah, some trolls are going to come through, right? They always do. They come through, they say all kinds of things, whatever. But we don't care about that. If there's a chance that even one of you guys, like, we get to connect, that's something that was always special to me back when I first got sober. To even just, like going, for instance, to when people tell you to go to therapy or like go to treatment, sometimes the reason it doesn't work for a lot of folks is because sometimes you'll go to these offices and there's people who maybe have a degree, but they don't have experience. And I think if we've learned anything in this life, people who can connect with you, like they've been through stuff you have, is what helps people the most feel related to. And a lot of times the reason people have substance abuse problems or are just broken in general is because, especially like you see this like really personified in like teenagers, right? People who feel like they don't feel like other people understand them. So that's kind of what I think I want to start really doing with this channel, is developing a place where more and more people feel like you're just welcome here and we can connect to each other. And if you are feeling lonely or whatever, yeah, maybe we don't know each other personally in person and we can't help everybody, but I just want to create a space for more often. It doesn't just have to be about fragrances. Again, I started this off as a fragrance reviewer, perfumery. I'm passionate about that. But during these streams, so many people have come through and just talked about other things. And when I start trailing off and rambling about life, it's meant something to a few people. And it's meant something to me in return to have those conversations. So I just think I want to kind of gear shift into, I'm going to keep doing my reviews. I'm going to keep talking about fragrances, but I was just like, well, maybe I can start talking about the other stuff I'm interested in as well. And even though it won't be good for me as far as the algorithm's concerned, it doesn't really matter. I got nothing to lose. I'm not getting paid to do this anyway. So that's my little Goyam. What's up, Goyam? Same question. Do you like football? If you do, what's your favorite team? I'm going to assume by football, you're talking about like American football. I say that just because it might be stupid, but again, I know like a lot of people in Europe and stuff call like soccer what we call soccer football. So I don't personally watch like American football. Never could really get into it. I didn't grow up with it. So I'm not against it or anything, but if you didn't grow up with it, I feel like it's hard to appreciate and then really understand what's going on the field. So it can be kind of easy to be like, oh, what's happening? And then it honestly can seem a little bit boring. But then again, I do like baseball, and you can say the same thing about that if you didn't grow up with it. So so I don't personally know. Is that a mic on your neck? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Even though, like, again, my phone doesn't have the best audio. So even though normally I do different kinds of streams and I use my microphones for that, it's a little bit more professional. I just hope that it helps you guys hear me pretty okay. It does make sense. There's a lot of rules and stuff. Yeah. But so with that being said, and again, you guys are more than welcome to just ask random questions, but pretty much if any of my usual people pop through, kind of just wanted to see if you guys would be all right with me gear shifting, like continuing to do my typical fragrance reviews and streams and answering those questions, but also getting more into just a general, yeah, I got a little fuzzy on my neck, but just getting into more general discussions as well during some streams. Because the other day I had a stream that I was really happy about. Like, it didn't get a lot of views. I didn't expect it to, but people came through and we got to talk about faith. We got to talk about sobriety. And like, there was some people have a good, you too, Rick Sanchez. There was people who came through and it was actually pretty meaningful. And there was a buddy who stopped in who had been struggling and like was actively struggling with addiction. And during that conversation, I don't know what happened after that, but during that conversation, like I could feel him like really expressing himself and seeming as if he doesn't have a lot of people to talk to about that. And that was me. So years ago, before I got sober, that was definitely me. It was like wishing that I felt confident and comfortable talking to somebody about how I felt and what I was experiencing on a day-to-day. But in some strange way, you will feel like sometimes you are a burden to people who are around you. And in a weird way, it almost does feel easier just to talk to strangers sometimes about stuff you're experiencing. And when I first got into faith, I lost my smell from COVID, but I like the idea of your path. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, like when I first came to my personal faith and beliefs, that was a big thing for me. Is like I was friends with a lot of people who were in sobriety ministry and stuff like that, and also men's group programs. And when I was meeting these different guys and experiencing with and hearing their stories, I started to realize, like, yeah, it's actually really nice for a lot of people to, instead of just going straight to your family, which your family should be there for you if they are, and as well, like just your friends and stuff. But sometimes when you know, people who are struggling with addiction, it can just be really nice to get away from the feeling of potential embarrassment from people that you know, or feeling like you're a burden or letting them down. And instead to just have people in your life that you don't really know that well, but you can maybe tell experience what you have and just kind of spew it out there, talk back and forth, and then walk away and just feel like you've related to someone. So like I said, no smell for 4 years. That's awful. I hate that happened to you, buddy. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But yeah, so I know, like, again, you know, I'm a rambler. It's kind of what I do. But it's always fun to hang out with you guys. And so again, like I said, I am going to keep the channel in the sense that I'm going to still do my fragrance streams and fragrance reviews. And I know that's not going to be good for the channel as a whole to just kind of go all over the place. But I kind of wanted to gear shift more towards the stuff I'm also interested in instead of doing a whole new channel. And that would be talking about my faith as well, not being pushy in the sense of trying to evangelize people, but being more open about my personal beliefs and talking with you guys about yours. I'd love to do streams because another thing that I'm super passionate about, along with fragrances, is for the past 8 years, I've been doing, even before I got sober, I started doing it under the training of friends of mine, actual like historical scriptural studies, religious studies, ancient Near East studies, and things like that. So I don't personally have a degree because I don't have the money for that, and I ain't got no scholarships, but I have friends who have their doctorates and masters in different subjects of those things, and it's been like very special for me to study those things, and as well just talking about general life and theology and history. So I thought, well, from time to time, I could do Bible studies. I could as well take people through exploration of the other texts, like the Bhagavad Gita and things like that. And kind of touch on my own personal beliefs, but as well just be a part of getting into that stuff. So again, I know it's a little all over the place. And do you believe in extraterrestrial? For me personally, that's a tricky question, because not trying to be stupid or nothing, but I believe that there's probably stuff out there. But some of my family members and everything are a lot more firm on that. I just don't know. I don't know, because there's no reason why there couldn't be other life out there. Even as a Christian, like, God created this universe, to me personally, but then also, like, there's this like consistently expanding universe, and like God is a never-ending artist. So regardless of what's happening here on this earth, there's absolutely no reason to believe there's other things going on out there. So I don't know. I've never seen anything personally, but I am interested in the idea. I don't necessarily know that if there are extraterrestrials, that they'd be like obviously what you see in movies or anything like that. But I'd love to know what you guys think about that. Do you guys believe in aliens personally? Do you guys believe in ghosts or the supernatural? Good morning, scent of the day, man. Sarah, sensual vetiver. That's awesome. I actually got on Sarah's Cedrat Bois Intense on this arm, and then over here I wore Paragon by Initio today. Definitely want to try that out. And Jason, super happy to have you here, by the way. I've seen him firsthand. That real sister was with me. She'd tell you the same. That's pretty cool. Like I said, never seen aliens myself. Always been curious if like there really is, certain types of things out there, but I don't really know if I'd see them as like that little green man type of idea that people always talk about. But yeah, like I said, this channel for this whole time has been purely fragrance, but I just wanted, people who are general watchers of me, kind of get your opinions, because as we're building this community, like I said, it's not just about me. It's about connecting with you guys and just having the opportunity to get to know you more, me more, and see if you guys are cool with me. They won't be very popular. They don't need to be. It's just about us connecting. If you guys are cool with me doing live streams of getting into actual Bible studies and taking you through real biblical history, especially because I have books that I can recommend for you guys. I have very good like scholarship level scriptural studies versus kind of more theologically based. I don't think that it's personally very good to just stick with things that are very theologically based, because that's not very necessarily educational. Learning what scholarship teaches and then being able to kind of navigate in between and then see how that goes from there through your own experiences in prayer is a little bit more important. That's kind of why people these days love debating religion and stuff like that, is because the average person who even follows a belief system doesn't really know a lot anymore about their own beliefs. So it doesn't really help. So again, I'm no personal scholar, just been studying for a long time under scholars. And again, this isn't what this channel started off about. But again, I'd love to. No, we're definitely not going to do that. George Washington, you're going to have to get out of here. We're not doing racial things and stuff like that. So report. There we go. Yeah. You are definitely not going to be allowed to come through here and do things that are racially charged or anything like that. So anyways, with that being said, that's one thing we're not going to allow. If anybody comes through and hangs out and streams with me, we're not going to do racially charged things. We're not going to talk about and argue with people about like social justice types of things. It's just not okay. I don't welcome that kind of stuff. Young people, teenagers and so forth as well have been frequent to come through and hang out and talk with us. And so with that being said, I want to have a place where everybody can be respected. I don't mind if people like want to make fun of me every now and then, just like light trolling or something. Like that doesn't bother me. But people saying things that are like actually harmful to other people, that's not okay. Just throwing that out there. But other than that, anybody's welcome to come through here. All respect. Also, Darby, I don't know what that means. Them tattoos aren't tough. You're absolutely correct, and I don't think they are. And anybody who thinks that tattoos makes you tough, that's kind of stupid. It doesn't. So with that being said, hello, Valerie. Thank you for popping through. Appreciate you. But yeah, I don't know why people think that's a thing to say. People come through my stream sometimes and they're like, you're not tough, you don't look cool, or whatever, tattoos. And like, that's weird if anybody thinks it's the opposite. But hey, what's up, buddy? Thank you for popping through. Bro, go lady tattoos. Hello, Mr. Perfume. What's up, Rubus? Thank you for popping through. Like I said, do you support Israel? I definitely don't support, I don't like talking about politics, but I will say this just as a side note. I am a Christian. I do have my own beliefs, and yet at the same time, for sure, a lot of what's happening right now is wrong. So what originally happened, just a quick side note, throwing this out there, not going to talk about it anymore. What originally happened to Israel was not okay, and yet in and of itself, what they've done in return has been way, way far. Like there's a difference if you get into war having to take a stance or prove a point. Like, hey, listen, if you do things to us, we do things to you. That's like what countries typically do to try to flex and take a stance. But even worse, there is like a we're going way overboard. So I understand kind of like the original motivations, but in and of itself, I'm not okay with what's happened since then. So again, I don't like getting very political like that, but I will say in and of itself, I'm not okay with countries just like destroying one another. So just throwing that out there. Let me see. Good afternoon, top fan. Thank you for coming through. And to Rick Sanchez, that person is just talking smack. That's all it is. Stuff will fly off the wall, footsteps in the attic. I've never experienced ghost stuff myself, but I am interested. So me and my wife on our old channel used to have fun doing like paranormal investigations because I grew up watching ghost hunters. We went to places that were like supposedly haunted. I still don't know really. I'm interested in the idea. I don't like the idea of spirits being stuck behind, but I am interested in it. And when we went to places, we had interesting things happen, but nothing that I would say like was for sure paranormal. So I like hearing people's ghost stories, but I do gotta say I'm a little bit wary at times because people have the ability to trick themselves into thinking and correlating things happening that maybe didn't really happen. As a silly little idea, I had a friend once who, unfortunately, but he's still alive, but he OD'd. And then he told me like while he's in the hospital, he heard like the voices of the gods talking to him or whatever. And I'm like, well, okay, but again, like you were coming down on something. So it's like, you can't really tell people that kind of stuff. You see what I mean? So a lot of people have experiences that they think was something, but don't really analyze, was this something that really happened? Is this feasible? What was I experiencing at the time? So when I hear people tell me their ghost stories, I do take it with a grain of salt, but I am interested. And hey guys, thank you for popping through. I appreciate you guys for saying that. I'm not sure. I'm sorry to say, remember a homie sees kind of stuff happen to them. I could imagine. Say your name, Dwayne. Thanks for popping through. Hallucination. Yeah, so I definitely think that stuff. Sometimes when people believe they're having experiences, I've never hallucinated in my life before, so I don't know what that would really be like. But I still, even myself, encourage people. Again, like I said, I personally am a Christian. I respect Muslims. I respect Buddhists. I've read all the books multiple times over to understand where people are coming from. I've been studying religions for a very long time, just to be respectful and understand different people's points of view. And so with that being said, I have my beliefs and I have reasons why I have them. At the same time, I do understand plenty of people all the time take things that weren't really what they maybe seemed and just don't really critically think through them. So not that everything people experience isn't real, but I definitely do think that people should be a little more cautious before they start telling people things like, yeah, I don't want to get too much into that, but they say like, say your name. Okay, I guess the monkey person is definitely another person we've got to get out of here. That's the whole thing. Every now and then you get people who just want to talk smack and they can't help themselves, but they're not here to actually hang out. They're here just to be crazy. I'm here to troll, but respect people like you 1,000%. Thank you. Uh-oh. How in the world did I have my phone right the first time and now I can't get it back? Oh, you know why? That's because my wife put this little sticker thingy in here. Now it won't chill. But anyway, yeah, one time I was at a cemetery visiting my grandparents, and the locks on my car started going up and down. The radio would go low and loud. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, like I said, I've never had any personal experiences like that myself, but it's just interesting to see what happens when people say they've had ghost experience. Like, I have a friend that I really trust, and he's not normally like person to really exaggerate things. He's always been very logical. But he himself had an experience like a year ago, and he's like 37 now. He says the only experience he's ever had in his life. He claims he was walking to a place that was supposedly haunted, like trying to do an investigation. He says he saw an actual semi translucent apparition, and it just happened really fast, and it went. It doesn't do drugs, doesn't drink, never has, and he's fully in his right state of mind. So I want to believe that when he says something like that happened, I really want to give him the credit that it's true, but it's just like I said, it's a little tough to put faith into that. Tattoos that aren't on your chest aren't tough. It's such a strange thing. Neither is a rose tattoo. It's so weird that people have this strange thought, especially Grand Wizard. Okay, so you're definitely one of those types of folks. But yeah, with that being said, once again, nobody thinks that having tattoos are tough, whatever. Well, a lot of people do think that, and it's kind of strange. But yeah, I don't really understand why people get it. It's bedtime for me, but I'll sub and check out another time. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you for popping through. It's always nice to hang out with you guys. I believe you're a friend. Huh. Yeah, like I said, I want to believe him. And like, he's a rational dude. But when I hear that stuff, it's just difficult. But then again, it's kind of like when people ask me, you know, how I came to my faith that I have, like my beliefs and stuff. If I should explain that to people, I don't really expect, necessarily speaking, and I always started off with what the stories that I might tell you that led me to my belief, for instance. I don't expect you to believe them because you weren't there. That's why when people argue about religion and stuff, discussing beliefs, discussing histories and scriptures and stuff that people can, that's very useful and very helpful. Discussing things like theology. On the other hand, pretending that you can argue people into believing something is dumb. You can discuss with people and maybe they can hear your point. They can think about it. But the idea of bombarding people with information and thinking you can convince people into believing something never really works because, again, it just doesn't. Like, you can't say, hey, you should believe this if you can't right then and there prove it to someone. So instead, one good way to start this kind of conversation is just to understand, hey, let's talk about some things. Let's talk about experiences and anecdotes. And should you personally like be convinced, that's great. But I don't expect this to convince you because it doesn't really work that way. I have sleep paralysis and a couple of times. By the way, I'm sorry if I can't keep up with you guys and stuff. Sometimes they come through and I don't see them. A couple of times it seemed like ghosts or demons or aliens were messing with me. I was hallucinating, crazy stuff. Well, that is interesting. I never really seen that kind of stuff before. Like I said, it's different. It's wild, and I definitely don't discredit people's experiences. So if you are sober and in your right mind when that type of stuff happened, then it's very possible some type of something was going on. Then again, though, anxiety and fear and all that kind of stuff as well can amplify and cause people in heightened states to experience things, I guess you could say. So I've been told I'm going to hell for having tattoos because my body doesn't belong to me anymore. Well, whoever told you that. So again, that's why I want to start doing like actual, like maybe live streams of real scriptural studies and kind of inviting people to them. Because again, something like that, like taking things from Levitical law in the Hebrew scriptures and coming at people for tattoos and stuff, in and of itself, having markings that are honorific of things like that, not in a sense like maybe you got a memorial tattoo for a passed on family member. That's okay. But honoring specifically like different belief systems, perhaps for certain reasons, or as well venerating what they would call cultic practices at that time for the Israelite people. They wouldn't necessarily call that yet, but for the people who would become the Israelite people, stuff like that is what's being admonished or pushed against in the Hebrew scriptures when they're talking about the Levitical law for tattoos. So in and of itself, absolutely not. Most traditional beliefs as well, up into more recent and current times and theological, theological creations didn't believe in things like tattoos being something that's going to send you to hell. So just throwing it out there. But with that being said, I see we've got more racist people coming through here. I don't really appreciate that. Definitely don't allow that kind of stuff on my channel. I don't know if anybody wants to become a mod or whatever on my channel. That would be really appreciated. So if anybody wants to help me out during these conversations, just to keep people saying the N-word out of here, that's not cool. And obviously, I don't know if it gets you a tickle. I know that trolls like to troll, but people who just get online and comment racial things and start trying to get a rise out of people, it's so strange. Just want to throw this out there. When I'm having these general conversation live streams with people and we're just having a nice time, whether we're talking about sobriety, God, or what have you, that's fine if you want to come through and crack jokes a little bit, but it's so dumb. You're not going to get me angry. So if that's what you're going for, it's not going to work. Thank you, Ishmael. I appreciate that. I definitely am not the happiest, like having to have shaved my head, but I got eczema, so it definitely was something I needed to do. Must be a nice, cool car. Well, I appreciate that, Rubus. It's not a cool car. This is my wife's Hyundai. My car, the Kia Sorento, we leave that at home. We just got mom and dad cars. We don't drive fancy things. Literally pulled up just now to see that was removing it at the same time. Hey, I appreciate you coming through. Like I said, I try to keep focused on the talking. I don't like to have to derail to go delete comments, but when people start saying N-word and stuff, again, if you want to say like I'm ugly, if you generally want to make fun of like people having tattoos or say stuff like that, that's cool. I don't care about that. But if you want to start saying racial things, or in and of itself, you want to start saying things that attack different types of people. For instance, One time, a guy used to come through here and say, like, he hopes that all of Israel, blah blah blah, something bad happens, or all of Israeli people, or all somebody came through and was making fun of people who were Islamic. If you do stuff like that, that's not going to work. What's one advice you would give to your younger self? But yeah, thank you, JJ. I appreciate you coming through, brother. God bless you. Advice I give to my younger self. This is a pointless but like sub thing that I would say. I actually, just while I was talking about tattoos, would tell my personal younger self not to have gotten them in the way that I did. They haven't hindered me really in my life goals personally. Like, all of my career has developed very well. I'm 32 and my life has done really well because of the type of work I've done. But I would say that just in and of itself, I wish that I hadn't had things in the way that I did, because a lot of people assume that like I want to be a rapper or some crap like that. I did used to do music for a very long time, but people these days, like the way looking like I do looks is something that has become a lot more negative than it once did for certain cultural reasons. So I'd probably say just something like that. But as well, definitely advice I would give my younger self is that you're not a loser. So when I say that, I grew up in a very bad household, necessarily speaking. I love my parents. We're cool now. But I will say that the words you speak to people in the Bible, there's actually a passage in the Old Testament or the Hebrew scriptures that speaks about, I'll just give you a quick English translation of the idea of the power of life and death is within the tongue. What that actually means is what you say. So not that literally I say things to you and like because of my speech, you're going to die or live. What it means to say things like the power of life and death is in the tongue in the Bible is this idea that when you're raising children or when you've got friends or a wife, partner, whoever, what you say has the ability to encourage or to destroy. It has the ability to influence and for the negative or the positive. So when the Bible says the power of life and death is in the tongue, that very idea is something that when you're raising children, when you have friends and family, it is very important to try to control yourself and to really learn how to treat people and think about what you say and how what you say does affect people. And people are going through things every day and you've got no idea what they're going through. So while you don't bear responsibility for other people's actions, how you are toward your day-to-day life really holds a lot of weight because you don't have a clue of what you say to people, what it might do to them. So I definitely had excessive amounts of discouragement as a child that led to those addictions that I had for 11 to 12 years. So again, like I said, I'm grateful and thank God every day for being 7 years sober. But if I could give advice to my younger self, it would definitely be like, hey, buddy, I know that this isn't going to maybe change things, but you feel like life is hopeless because you've been told over and over again that you were a problem, a burden, and a loser. To everybody out there, I want to encourage you guys to understand that people say things out of hurtfulness, like things that happened with my parents. I know that they themselves had horrible things happen to them in their life that got them to where they were. And even though it wasn't fair, things that happened to me, things that happened to you, other people, we have to learn forgiveness and to see that every single person on this earth, nobody's born evil. Nobody is meant to necessarily be evil. Anybody that does awful things in this world, even the worst of people, they got that way because of poor perspectives, bad thinking, and pain. So nobody does bad things or evil things just for fun. Even if it seems like they do, unless they have like some serious chemical imbalances, people do things that they do because of pain within them, right? I cast trolls. Do you remember me? Actually, I do. Super happy to see you here, buddy. I really appreciate you coming through. Trolls are like ghosts. The less time you see this, the better. Yeah. I cast prepare to meet God. Rick Sanchez, I don't know what that means. Some people's brains make them want to do evil, I guess. I don't know. Well, it's not that. So again, some people generally have chemical imbalances for some reason or another. But as well, a lot of people, like I said, from very early youth, they just experienced heavy amounts of discouragement, violence, and bad examples. I mean, even back in my bad days before I got sober, I saw so many things happen that I was like, this is horrible influence on people. And the way that, again, even culturally, it's kind of like if you see entire cultures doing things that are very destructive to themselves and within themselves and outwardly, a lot of that comes from, again, upbringing, things that were pushed on people, all that kind of stuff. It's not like people were just born and wanted to be bad and do bad. I believe that obviously we were all born with an inclination to be able and capable and pulled towards things that like what we would call temptations. But in and of itself, how you are instructed, and that's why parenthood is so important, how you instruct your children are going to go in a very different direction. That ain't everybody. Trolls are evil. I'm mod. Have to deal with trolls and streams all day. Some people have brains. I would like in France, we have the right to carry weapons. I don't. I mean, brain science is very interesting. We still don't understand our brains. There's a lot we really don't understand. You're mainly a product of your surroundings. So that's exactly what I'm saying. For the most part, people don't have to agree with this, but it is the truth. A large percentage of what happens is you are a product of your upbringing and surroundings. Again, injuries and brain malfunctions and chemical alterations can alter this, but in and of itself, for the most part, it is true. Like, how people are taught, what they experience. Now, that doesn't mean that it's always going to be the case. Like, again, I grew up in a very violent household. I have other people that I've met who grew up in a very violent household. I ended up not being, in my younger years during my addiction time, I had a lot of violent experiences myself. But in and of itself, as a parent, I've never once had to hurt my children. Even like light whoopings. Like, I am all for, like, you know, me myself, a classical Southern dude. I am for like whoopings and like general discipline, but not like anything hateful or beating kids or aggressive or nothing at all. But even me myself, like, I just like used the opposite of what I experienced and just used serious discussion. I did not let my kids act crazy or trashy in public like a lot of people unfortunately do. But general discussion and not baby talking my kids from youth or whatever. Like, I did the opposite of what I grew up with. On the other hand, there are a lot of people who didn't end up that way. And bad childhood experiences led them to doing awful things like passing down tradition. That's kind of what happened with my own parents. So not everybody's going to be a full throttle product of their experiences, but in some way, shape, or form, everybody will be affected by the things that they surrounded by, that they grew up with, all that kind of stuff. Seems like you went from one extreme to another. I'm more of a moderation guy. I don't know what you mean by extreme, though. So, Mean Gene, what do you mean by I went into another extreme? Sorry if that's an inappropriate question. What was you addicted to? Do you have a... So, Rubus, no, I don't carry weapons around in my vehicle. I do own, for personal protection, like at home and stuff, I do personally own weapons. I don't like the idea of having to have them, though. Like, we do live in an unfortunate world where there are people who, you know, are lost, broken, want to do bad things. So being able to protect yourself, especially at home, is a good thing. But when I go on my day-to-day, I don't keep weapons around with me or anything like that, because anything can happen anywhere, anytime. But like, there are way too many people out here who are like maybe not properly trained and definitely shouldn't have the things that they have. So again, but it's not an inappropriate question, by the way. You asked what was I addicted to. So again, just throwing this out there, anybody stopping through, not that you give a crap, I'm just a stranger. I personally am 7 years sober, but before that, I was a severe alcoholic. I also had multiple different substances. I don't know if it's even all right to, I don't know how these streams work, so I don't know if it's okay to say certain words, but in and of itself, just drugs that you would take. And I didn't do anything that involved injecting things or something like that, just other particular traditional things that people do routinely. So let your imagination go there. But I don't know if it's all right to say those words during streams, and I don't want to, like, you know, influence anything. Good morning, Douglas. Oh, by the way, super happy for you being here, Diego. As you can see, we do typical discussions. No, definitely not. Definitely not Sarthak. But I'm super happy for you popping through here. We're just doing general discussions and stuff like that. But also, you can, anybody who wants to ask fragrance questions, you're more than welcome to do so. We haven't really even gotten to the full meat and potatoes of why I'm doing this stream in the first place. We will get to that, because I really want you guys who are regulars questions. But as you can see, this is just more like talking about random stuff in life. But with that being said, you in here for some... No, I don't do anything like that. I don't do... I don't know if you're asking that right now. I'm completely sober, by the way. I don't do any kinds of stuff. I also don't like being around necessarily certain things myself. But I do like to encourage people who are dealing with addiction stuff and things like that. I am one of those people, no offense to anybody out there, I mean no offense, but I am one of those people who don't believe that you're sober if you smoke weed. So again, no offense. And I'm not going to hear a debate with people because, again, it's my opinion. So if you feel differently, that's fine. No disrespect. But I do know a lot of people who believe that getting sober off of everything but then still smoking weed or something counts as being sober. I don't see that as being sober. I think being fully right-minded. But I don't have a problem. Like, if you smoke or anything like that, like, I'm not sitting here coming down on you or anything or trying to tell you, like, go ahead and stop right now. I'm just saying, like, I don't do any of that stuff. Which, by the way, is another reason another stereotype I often face having the tattoos like I do, is there's a lot of people who just assume, like, I literally went with my family, my children, on a beach trip not long ago, and multiple people during my beach trip walking around at Myrtle Beach came up to me in front of my kids, and like, some of them were drunk, so whatever. There's actual people who came up to me and asked me in front of my children and my wife and stuff, just based off of how I look, if I could supply them, if I knew where to get good, you know, stuff at. So that is one thing. Like, if I didn't look how I do, probably that's one regret. So why have you turned off Super Chat? I actually don't have Super Chat. By the way, I also do agree. I'm not, again, not trying to argue with people, but weed is definitely I've seen it over and over again, addictive for a lot of people. I'm not a drug, but I'm addicted to it. I don't know what that is. If you don't believe in ghosts, sorry. So no, I'm not saying that. By the way, super happy for you guys being here. Again, I definitely, and this is just all, oh, by the way, real quick, I'm going to let you guys shoot the breeze for just a second. About to do something a little bit yucky, but like I said, I have some appointments I've got to do. But I, on the other hand, unfortunately, have drank way too much water. That's one thing I have a problem with. So you guys, sorry for this, but you're about to hear me have to do a little whiz in a bottle. I know that's gross. I'm from the American South. It's something that people do sometimes, especially I used to hang out with my buddies who were like truck drivers on the highway. So super sorry if this is gross to you guys. If you want to dip out, that's totally fine. But when you don't have the ability to go home or something, you just got to go. Hey, man, you got to go. But I will try to get back to you guys' chats here in just a second when I'm done. And then we'll continue to shoot the breeze. But hopefully y'all can hear me. I had to take the microphone off my shirt because it would have been a little too fluffy. But yeah, feel free. Again, if anybody has any fragrance questions, please, by all means, like, don't be bothered to ask, even though that's not completely what this stream is all about. Also, again, don't mind any light trolling, but if anybody starts saying anything super inappropriate, and any of my friends who are mods are in here, I think I'm going to make a handful of more people in here mods as well to make life a little bit easier for me. But yeah, if you guys could definitely be helpful with that, I'd appreciate it, because there's been a couple people pop through and say some like super racist stuff, and that's not cool. We're not going to allow that kind of junk. But let me see. It's always hard to get my phone back right. Why don't you get out and pee in a bush? I would not do that, because I'm actually next to a Wegmans right now. And I don't know if you know this, but next to Whole Foods, it's one of like most posh grocery stores. Definitely can't do that. That's illegal here. Bro, whizzing in his bottle. Dang straight I am, buddy. I don't know if you've never done it before, but you got to do what you got to do when you can't just run to the bathroom. Well, I could, but I don't like, I stream in public right here in the car. I kind of feel like douchey about walking around. Like I see people do like the live streams. It's okay if people do IRL streams, but here where I'm from, I don't really feel comfortable just walking around doing that, because I know like people already troll all the time, say I like your typical douchebag. So I don't want to amplify that walking around holding my phone up talking to people. Phil Halligan's also has bath products too. Do they really? By the way, I'm sorry if I missed you guys. Been on methadone 16 years. I definitely, oh, good morning, Sensual Obsession. Thank you for stopping through. I definitely suggest to you, buddy, if you can, please like try to like work off of that if you can. So again, this is not just like a straight up fragrance stream. Now that I got a handful of my friends here though who normally come through, I really want you guys' opinions, and that's kind of what the core of this was. So if anybody wants to continue talking about their sobriety journey, please, if you got questions, feel free to ask. One time, do you have a bottle? No, the unlucky charm. I don't know. I've never done that before. It could be deadly. You're absolutely right, Carlos. It can be deadly for sure. But do you go to the clinic? I've never personally done that stuff before, so I've never had to use that. So to any of you guys who can help each other out, if there's ever questions about like sobriety stuff that I don't personally know, again, like nobody can really help each other, like can give answers to somebody's full-on journey. It is a journey for yourself. But one time, okay, sorry. But anyway, yeah, so to the core of it, this channel for the longest time has been straight up a fragrance channel, where obviously you guys know I just do reviews of fragrances. We do live streams in front of my collection usually, and I answer questions straight up about fragrances in and of itself. But to my buddies here who are people who've been here for a while, part of this community that we're trying to develop, since again my original algorithm like dropped off so hard, I kind of was thinking, well, I got nothing to lose. I was going to start a separate channel to do religious studies and so forth, and start going through little, like teaching people actual religious, spiritual and scriptural education, historical education, and not just theology, but like actual historical and scriptural current scholarship education, especially as a studied layperson. Wanted to start doing that, and I was like, well, and then also do like my Bible studies, and as well even have like my little sermon times like my ministry used to do. And still being respectful to all different walks of life, and even studying other belief systems together. So I know that it's not good for the algorithm to have a channel that's just all over the place like that, going like fragrances, but then also like faith and family and stuff like that. But I'm like, well, again, you know, at this point, my live streams are super fun. Love hanging out with you guys. My wife, when she joins in, also enjoys doing streams with you guys. As well, when I have the prayer time and get to talk about this stuff, it seemed to have been great for me. It's fun. It's also been great for people who pop through. So what's my favorite perfume, by the way? just throwing it out there. My favorite personal perfume is Le Mal Le Parfum by Jean-Paul Gaultier, as well Naxos by Xerjoff, Oud Silk Mood by Maison Francis Kirkjohn. Those are some of my absolute favorites. So again, I'm not going to stop doing fragrance reviews and talking about fragrances, but just like how the other day I shared a video of me and my wife and we had fun, doing like snack tasting from the Middle Eastern market and stuff. I thought, you know what? Like I used to have a channel doing that stuff, but maybe I can incorporate some of that as well. And hit a blink. I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah, I don't have a clue. So anyway, people pop through, say random stuff. I try to read you guys' comments, but when random things pop up, I like Cool Water. Cool Water by Davidoff's a really good one. Most definitely. But yeah, to my buddies who are normal through here, I just thought during these streams, I'm going to start doing stuff that's just not straight up fragrance focused, but as well start doing other things as well, like doing those Bible study times and stuff. I know it's not going to be super popular, but I just was curious if I just start doing kind of sort of what I feel like doing, what I want on this channel and sort of expressing that more. I've even also considered dropping dropping fragrance off of Douglas Moon Fragrance and maybe just making it Douglas Moon. I thought about at one point making it Douglas Moon Fragrance and Faith. Something like that, but I feel like it's just too much going on, too wordy. So again, to people who's normal here, I was just thinking, what do you think if you guys are regulars about just dropping it and becoming just straight up Douglas Moon? I got my silver play button, but it doesn't mean anything to me, really. At this point, like I said, most of those original viewers have become inactive over a while because it was just kind of a spurt anyway, how I got them. So yeah, just kind of want to know what like you regular guys was thinking about me dropping, like still doing fragrance stuff, but also incorporating these other things like faith-based content and as well like those Bible study times as well. Because like I said, to me personally, I don't really got anything necessarily to lose. So you vote keep fragrance in the name for now, because you can just make it fragrance and faith. I thought about doing something. Like I said, I really love you guys' opinions because I thought about that. I was like, well, my wife as well thought that doesn't sound bad. It's just a little potentially too wordy or something like that. But yeah, I wasn't sure like if it would just be easier just to make it Douglas Moon, but then at the same time, it does look a little bit too small. So keeping the fragrance in there, I feel like it's good. And I don't intend to stop doing it because that'd be silly for my channel because I love fragrances. It's my biggest passion, next to the other stuff that I study and my beliefs and my family and stuff. But to the people who come through, I thought, well, I love having my prayer time. I also love getting to discuss just general life stuff. What do you think about Arabic fragrances? Personally, I enjoy them depending on how they were done. I think that there's way too many like clone houses. We don't need that many. We just need a few people really doing well if you're going to do fragrance dupes and clones. But I do respect a lot of like, Amouage, definitely. They're from Oman, and there's a handful of other companies that are pumping stuff out that's really doing a good job. I also appreciate houses like Latafa for what it's worth, but they also have a lot of ones that I think are misses or overdone. So read my last comment. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I didn't see your comment. I would scroll down. If you could just comment again, please, that would be helpful. But yeah, so as far as Arabic fragrances go, I've actually got Memento by Riffs on the way right now. And then what else do I got? So by that same company, Paris Corner, who don't know why they call Paris Corner because I think they're from the UAE, but I got their unique portrait, which is a fantastic take on Portrait of a Lady. I have their Leather and Rose coming in. I'm very excited for that. Thinking about getting Aromatics is Zandal. I think that's how you say it. But I'm thinking about getting that one to check out because even though it seems like something, I'm not sure if I'm really going to like it. It is popular right now, and I haven't really tried any of his stuff before. What do you think about YSL? I would buy something called Douglas Moon. Sounds dope. Thank you. Like I said, it really helps me get you guys' opinion. Any favorite Banana Republics? Thank you, buddy. So I'm going to answer Rockaberry real quick. Sorry if I'm having a hard time keeping my phone nice and steady. These stupid microphone receiver things never really are that helpful. So I haven't really tried any Banana Republic fragrances personally. Also to Dubs, no, I'm not. I'm actually married and been with my wife for 6 years now. But to answer, but again, nothing against anybody or anything like that. And so to YSL, I really like YSL fragrances to an extent. They're not my favorite. Personally, YSL's Y Eau de Parfum is my favorite of the bunch. So they're not my favorite house by any means, but I think they do a good job, especially for more youthful fragrances. Also, thanks for like mentioning my wife for me. Let's try to be a little bit more like respectful, but I just don't want people insulting each other if we can help that. But what's my favorite tattoo? My favorite tattoo, I think my squid. I really like my squid. It's just a random one that my old artist, wanted to do at one point in time because I wanted sea life theme stuff. That one, and even though I started hating it for a while, my pizza slice that says home slice, really like that. It was a friendship tattoo at one point. Me and a buddy, we went and got him. He paid for him, and yeah, because we were sitting at CC's Pizza, and he was like, you know, we really love pizza, huh? We eat it every week. And I said, yes, I've been eating it my whole life. So I got that little belly. And I said, give my home slice. And we cracked jokes, and it was super lame, super corny. And we went and got the tattoos. And then, like, literally, as you would imagine, a couple months later, we quit being friends. Substance abuse got in the way there. And so he got his covered up, and I still have mine. But it is what it is. Womp womp, and literally nobody cares. Well, literally somebody asked, and you don't have to stick around. Let me see. I can't see. Uh-oh. Random crap going on here. Difficult to find a perfume that lasts all day. No, so Sauvage Elixir lasts all day. Most Maison Francis Kirkjohn fragrances last all day. So if you get anything, they're very expensive. But if you get anything by him, certain Xerjoffs, again, fairly expensive, but they do last all day. So like Xerjoff Naxos, stuff like that. So there is a lot of fragrances that last very well. There's some cheaper ones as well, like Sensual Obsessions fragrances are all very well quality extracted parfums. Things by French Avenue can, depending on the fragrance, but it is true. Not a lot of them last the way that you want, because most people want them to be super strong all day and be powerful. Let me see here. YSL YEDP or myself EDP? For me personally, YSL YEDP is the way to go. You from Kentucky? I am not from Kentucky personally. Doug was hidden. What kind of car are you in? It is a Hyundai Accent. It's not the coolest car in the world. I've had a handful of people ask me, not you personally, but a handful of people ask me if I drive a cool car. And like, no, I do not. I do not. I don't dress cool. I don't have a cool car, but I do like it. The Hyundai Accent's been pretty reliable so far. And me and my wife also got Kia Sorento, so nothing crazy. Follow your heart. I personally would enjoy more sobriety and faith content, but I love the fragrance talk also. Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, just kind of want, a more general opinion about, by the way, letting this be known, if trolls and stuff come through here, I just want to encourage an atmosphere where we stay as positive as possible. So like, definitely appreciate you guys who like my mods who just get stuff out of here if they start becoming like crazy, especially racial, like some people earlier were doing. But I don't want to insult people or anything like that. So, I don't control you guys or nothing, but just out of respect, I just ask if somebody starts coming through here acting stupid, could you guys, let's just try not to insult them. Let's just be like cordial and get them out of here if we can. Because I don't want to be like contributing as well to that stupid behavior. But you have cool tattoos. I appreciate that, Dan. Thank you. No one's a troll. It's just opinions. See, that's not true though. There is the difference between people having opinions and people who like come through here saying the N-word over and over again just to do things like that. That's not an opinion. That in and of itself is somebody just trying to be trolling. Although on the other hand, I do like your name, Chicken McNugget. That's very fine. Hello, monkey. That's me. Oh, yeah, we do. But I'm sorry. I just missed somebody's actual. I feel like either way, you'll be reaching. So that's definitely what I want to do. Like I said, I care about people think as far as you guys who watch. So I don't want to just alienate people who've been enjoying these streams, enjoying the fragrance content and stuff like that. I don't want to just push people out of here because I want to go in a different direction. But I'm just in that place where I'm like, well, my faith and then my family is some of the most important parts of my life. There's a lot of things I'm not going to put out there because it's private information. But at the same time, during these streams and getting to connect with people and pray with you guys and stuff and like talk about those kind of things has been very important to me as well in my ministry that I've had in the past and currently, giving people like a better sense of like scriptural education and as well learning about other people's and other different belief systems, scriptures and beliefs instead of like what they call in philosophy and in theology, straw manning people. To me is very important because there's a lot of people who I've talked with or who come through my streams or who I've met in my like real life ministry who have, themselves, like they're a believer, maybe they're Christian, Muslim, who knows what. And like they were raised with like, we got to go attack people. We got to go berate people. So I'm not ever going to encourage people to have to just agree with everything everybody does because you're not supposed to do that. On the flip side, how you treat people is very much important. Like I said, encouraging, discouraging. So the life and death being in the power of the tongue. Very important stuff to consider when you treat people certain ways and when you interact with people on a day-to-day basis. So for me, having experience and history with that kind of stuff, I'm nobody special or no professional, but I thought if I could start incorporating more of that and more of my faith into what I do, I don't expect it again to be popular or nothing. It might hurt me a lot, But to you guys who come around, I was just curious if you're okay with that. So not if you necessarily would like it, if you're willing to join along, but I just kind of want to know if you'd be okay with that or if it would start to push you away. I'm thinking about doing it either way, but I still just kind of want to know how you guys feel about that. I use women's deodorant. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's not like what you wear is how you, it's not what you wear, it's how you wear it. And yes, Carlos, I believe many fragrances are unisex. So I'm going to say this. Unisex fragrances and then what constitutes as a man's or a woman's fragrance. It's kind of funny because we definitely can tell. Just a real quick, a little bit of a history of perfumery. Not going to get too much into it, but just in and of itself. At one point in time, long ago, what we now think of as note profiles that are men's fragrances and what we now think of as note profiles that are women's fragrances in many cultures were the opposite at one point in time. And here's a kind of a quick explanation on that. These days, if you ask a woman, like, so me personally, for quite a while when I was testing out women's fragrances, or what are called women's fragrances, I was wearing them. And all the women at my job, including my wife herself, handfuls of them were very appealed to, liked them a lot, honestly got more actual real compliments or questions than wearing general men's fragrances. Does that mean they don't like men's fragrances? No, it means that things that are geared towards women are normally note profiles that they think of as something a woman would enjoy. So on the flip side, a lot of what's like real raw, true to the core men's fragrances, like black pepper strong, patchouli heavy, certain things like that, very woodsy, and very even particularly like boozy. Men like them a lot more and want to buy them, and that's what they're made for. Is like that a man would like this and want to buy it, than they think a woman would. Historically, people used to wear the opposite. So that's kind of how that worked for the most part, is that if you wanted to appeal to a woman, you would wear things that a woman might like. If you wanted to appeal to a man, vice versa, and even things in more unisex. So over time, marketing, as the professional perfumery and designer houses kind of came to be, they kind of sort of started shifting the culture, and like women, instead of wearing things that a man might like and vice versa, they started wearing, excuse me, how would I word this? So yeah, instead of a man wearing something that today we would see as more feminine, so like bright florals, maybe fruity and floral ambery things infused, because a woman would really much like that and attract it. And then, or the other way around, women wearing more woodsy things and things like also with bright woodsy lavenders and earthy fougere and stuff like that, they started getting flipped to market it directly to the person themselves. So I know that might sound confusing and I might not explain that very well, but with that being said, dudes a simp, okay, sure. I don't really know what that means, but sure, whatever you guys say makes yourself feel better. But with that being said, yeah, pretty much at one point in time, the way that they used to do fragrances in and of itself was differently, and they switched it over just for the sake of perfumery's marketing from these big companies. So what you think of as a woman's fragrance these days, necessarily speaking, men at one point in time would have wore to appeal to a woman and vice versa. So personally, as you know, I love rose, I love iris in my own personal fragrances, especially because my wife works with flowers professionally. So things like that appeal to me, and I might wear fragrances that people think is marketed towards women sometimes. But then again, oftentimes the women around me, especially my job, enjoy that more than they might on average, like something like Dylan Blue by Versace. So 10-4 to sure. Okay, whatever makes you feel better. I was just thinking about the same concept yesterday. If men wear women's fragrances like that, that's going to attract women. And it does. So the fact of the matter is, that is historically how things were inclined. Ancient Egypt, other cultures like that, when they used to use fragrance and perfumery, a lot of the times, if someone wanted to appeal to a woman, and women by nature, not all women, but like there was the idea that maybe the stereotype or even the natural existing concept, women might have been drawn towards more bright, floral, fruity flavors of that kind. So, and technically speaking, there were men who would kind of use those natural elements in perfumery to do an attracting factor. So today's time, like I said, though, because of like designer fragrance houses marketing, it started roughly 70 plus years ago or so, as it became more of a thing from those bigger houses that we have today, like Guerlain. That's pretty much what happened, is they kind of got gear shifted around. Facts. Yes. If a man wears a vanilla fragrance, I guarantee a woman's going to say they smell good. And that does happen a lot. I've been noticing in Middle Eastern perfumery, it can be very strong, not just incensey or oudi, but especially what gets marketed towards maybe a more wider audience, typically leans very vanilla. When I ordered Memento by Riffs, that's one of the things that I noticed, is that when I was also thinking of getting aromatics, the Xandal fragrance, it's just like multiple layers of vanilla. And when you think about how popular Althea became this past year by Parfums de Marly, again, it's just like this excessively vanilla fragrance. and people like that all across the board. But the way that it's done can kind of appeal in a different factor, and wearing those beautiful soft vanillic compounds. The reason why, like I said, Althea became so popular is that on average, like a typical woman's nose tends to really appeal to her, but then men's as well like it. And I think that almost Althea could kind of be seen as potentially close to a unisex fragrance. But again, that's just my opinion, so everybody's welcome to be different. Do you think pheromones in perfumes work? They do not. They do not work. So I'm not going to say that there isn't some type of mild molecular compound that is doing something, but your personality, like for people to wear pheromones for the sake of attraction, is really like a placebo concept. Your personality, your behavior, and then somebody in and of itself, like seeing you as visually attractive is the only thing that's really going to work and pull somebody in. But again, as somebody who's surrounded by fragrances, I work around fragrances full time as well, of all different kinds, and then work with people who've been around them for a very long time. I know lots of people, I've said this a lot, but people often ask because I know it's a popular topic. I have people that I work with who've been exposed to pheromone-infused fragrances for a very long time, and they can verify that in and of itself, on a chemical level, doesn't really do anything special that is noticeable, technically. Like if you was to do it in like an experiment format, you're not really going to see anything particular happen from it. So it's more like kind of like a gimmick for the most part. Soul Detour Noir latent dupe. I enjoy it. My wallet agrees. Yeah, definitely. I've never tried a latent dupe myself. I don't know if there's anyone that are actually decent. And latent, to me, because of the maybe the sharpness of like that Vicks Vapor Rub opening that a lot of people get from the medicinal qualities of like the lavender, tough for me to recommend even a dupe of that, because I don't know how well I feel like even to make the original, you have to be handling those materials excessively well. So I'm nervous to actually smell a dupe of latent. And wokeness. Sure. I guess we can go that route on all sides. Bye wokeness. I like to put my girlfriend's perfume on my pillow when she's not there. Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that, buddy. If you like to smell what she smells like, you know, we've all done it before, I'm sure, at some point in time. It's really nice to, like, that's one of the biggest reasons to express yourself, why fragrances are so important to history as a creative art. Like a lot of other things, like music, it's a way to kind of attach memories to things and nostalgia, so that's nice. I'll have to send you my latent clone. It's spot on. Heck yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Sensual Obsessions, like I said, cannot wait. And anybody who's in this chat who's into fragrances, anybody who's just here to troll or any of that other crap, yeah, don't pay attention to this. Sensual Obsessions is a fantastic fragrance company. I actually really respect these guys. They're doing fantastic things. And like, if you want to actually, I'm not saying this in any sponsored way or not, I mean this sincerely. I've already done Liquid Brune. I've already done Vanilla Dunes, which I prefer over Liquid Brune personally. Hot Dodge's Vanilla Dunes, if you want an out there take. But their Eagle Star by Sensual Obsessions is actually like seriously powerful. It's fantastic and it's beautifully done. I think of it almost as like a perfect blend between the two, Vanilla Dunes and Liquid Brune. So I hate that they rhyme because it's easy to get them tongue twisted, but these guys are fantastic. I definitely recommend you check them out. So I would love to see your latent dupe. And my daughter says it smells like Vicks Vapor Rub. It definitely does. I like the way my own fart smells sometimes. Hey, look, dude, I'm going to be a liar if I said I don't too. Not all the time, very rarely. But there are those occasions where there's like a, we can go down a subject about how we humans in general will like nostalgic and animalic smells as well. That's why some people like to go towards civet and stuff like that as a fragrance enhancer or profile. I'll say enhancer loosely. But with that being said, yeah, we all like our own farts sometimes. Eucalyptus is great. Yes, it is. My wife uses eucalyptus a lot and hangs it up in the house. What does that say? Sorry, I missed that comment by Essential Obsessions. First initial impression is Vicks Vapor Rub. Smell. Yeah, that's the whole thing. The Vicks Vapor Rub compound started to break apart. Then you really get the core of it, and that's my favorite. Dolce & Gabbana summer vibes. Yeah, Dolce & Gabbana is perfect for summer vibes. For me personally, I just want to throw this out there. The Capri in Love, by the way, the new Capri in Love is actually very, very well blended. The more time I've been spending with it, it already does have good performance. But Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Capri in Love, the new edition. So it's a top note of black pepper with fig and patchouli. That's the core accords they're going for. Very, very fantastic choice for this time of year. Just got that. Love the smell of books too. I do too. I love the smell of old basements. So Alexandria too definitely kind of reminds me of like walking into a musty basement. I always tell people, it's like if you walked into a very luxurious pyramid in Egypt or something that hasn't been opened in like 1,000 years, and you walk in, it's like, wow, that smells very old and dank, but at the same time very luxurious in here. But I also like the smell of books as well. That's why this is going to sound like douchey, hipster, or elitist or whatever. That's why I don't like using audiobooks. I only like to keep my real books with me, which is frustrating because I'm a slow reader, but I have a handful of books with me at one time typically. And so I had to carry them everywhere. So it'd be nicer if I could just use like audio books and stuff. But have you smelled that Cupid? I have not. I actually might be creating a fragrance that smells like old books. I would love it if you did. So at my job, we have a fragrance profile called Library. So it's one of the ones people use to mix candles and room sprays and stuff with. And at first I didn't like it, but the more I've had exposure to it, it's really, really nice. It's almost kind of soapy, but it's supposed to smell similar to like old book pages and papyrus. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, if I'm remembering correctly, Oud Silk Mood, one of my top 5 favorite fragrances of all time, that actually was a note compound in that. It said papyrus. So now that's what I'm remembering that I've been getting wrong for so long. If you guys don't know, papyrus is like an old material that was like one of the original styles of like uses of paper that they used to use, especially back in the ancient, like I believe Egyptian, Greco-Mesopotamian times. But I've completely forgot that's one of the accords that they went for, because I typically say it's rose with medicinal lavender and then oud at the bottom. But that actually is that middle space that's supposed to be there that's giving you like a papyrus feel. So that's what their official website says. It's pretty cool. But I think that's a fantastic choice, Sensual Obsessions. I really love it if you guys did that. But yeah, just real quick while I got y'all here, who typically are people who come through, I just, again, want to ask your personal opinions if you think that you would be okay with that idea. I want to kind of have some type of consensus. So my original thought was maybe I should drop fragrance from my channel name and just be Douglas Moon. I'm not going to stop doing fragrances at all. That's going to be my thing. I'm going to continue doing routine fragrance reviews because that's what this is all about. And then doing these streams, answering fragrance questions often and weekly and all the time in front of my fragrance collection. But because I'm like, well, I can really do what I want with this channel at this point, kind of take it any direction. Since I'm not going to, I'm 32, I'm not a TikToker. Since I'm not going to go in that direction of trying to be like, top 5 best summer fragrances every other day. Like, I hate seeing that on all these channels. It's okay if people do it, but people are overblowing that kind of crap. So since I'm not going to go that direction and try to be like a huge used car salesman, again, for people who might want to sponsor me, I know it's going to like kill that because they'd rather me just be that used car salesman. But I don't want to do that. It doesn't make me special. I just don't want to. So my faith on top of fragrances and then my personal studies are like the most important things to me next to my family. And I want to be able to start including like little shorts and things of me having fun with my family and everything like that, my wife and stuff. And as well, I really would like to do, it's not good for this channel necessarily, but I would like to do those scriptural studies and biblical studies, and as well even teach people and go through texts like the Quran and Bhagavad Gita to help people have a better understanding of things they don't personally know. So I would like to start doing streams that are dedicated to that, still answering questions, but maybe more specific to doing readings and teachings and then answering questions and just generally talking about beliefs and stuff. And because we already kind of do that, but I'd like to maybe incorporate that a little bit more as just something that I'm doing going forward. So I thought about these Douglas Moon Fragrance and Faith, or just, I don't know what, but I just wanted you guys' ideas and your thoughts and bounce them around a little bit about what y'all think. This is like watching paint dry. You ain't got to be here, buddy. Nobody's making you stay. Other people are having a good time. But with that being said, JPG Le Beau, definitely Le Beau Le Parfum, or JPG's Le Beau, the Paradise Garden. Fantastic choice. Fantastic choice. I'm definitely okay with it. I feel like there are people out there you could help. So that's kind of the reason why I want to do it, is because there have been a few people pop through who talking about faith and connecting with people about sobriety and stuff has made some sort of difference. Even if I don't know if it's much, I know that when I was struggling, it felt good to have people to relate to. So I see that as something important. And to me, I feel like I don't want to just ignore that. If I could even have any kind of platform instead of starting over, what'd you say? What do you think about Creed perfume, Douglas Moon fragrances? Faith sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate that. So like I said, getting you guys' concept, also enjoy religion without pushing it on others. Exactly. So that's my whole thing. It's like, in and of itself, right? So as a Christian, I'm not saying you have to believe this. I'm just making a statement to explain something. So one of the scriptural concepts that's not just allegorical, poetical, or anything like that, but necessarily comes from what we know of as the teachings of Jesus, is definitely important to get out there and spread the gospel. What's the gospel? It's the good news, the idea of understanding how to know yourself through God in a more honest and pure way. I'm not telling you guys to believe that. I'm saying that is one of the core concepts of what it is by Jesus to spread the gospel. But when you read the gospels, and as of they are written, you don't see Jesus doing what you see the Pharisees doing. You see quite the opposite. So you see a lot of people in today's time, if you want to understand that, if you've never read the Gospels, that's totally fine. And again, I'm not saying you got to believe them. I'm just making a point. In the Gospel stories, in the in the Greek Bible, what you see is very often the people who are the hyper-religious, who saw themselves as high and mighty, doing horribly judgmental things. Not making judgments being a bad thing, but in and of itself, Jesus taught to judge righteously, to judge from a place of being not hypocritical. In and of itself, Jesus was constantly condemning the Pharisees for seeing themselves and acting high and mighty. And he himself went to people that were the sinners, that were the people who were struggling. He didn't agree with the things they were doing, but he didn't necessarily also put them down. He just showed them tenderness and love. And by that in and of itself, it drew them to him. So that is the huge flaw that most people who are a believer of today's time is doing, is instead of just being a light to the world, as you're called to do, they're just being douchebags, basically, and just love that Pharisee-like righteous judgment. So it's something that they can't wait to do. And that causes a lot of lack of, like, if you actually believe in the message at all, if you even read the Bible, again, there's lots of stuff, it's horrible things people want to talk about, sure. But if you've actually read anything that Jesus would have taught in the stories, and you're out there being hateful to people, just throwing this out there, you're doing it wrong. I'm not telling you to agree with everything people do, but if you aren't just showing love to people who are not just people who believe like you do and staying within your own church bubble, you're doing it wrong. So when I share my faith on my personal channel, that's definitely not the way to do it. If I wanted to be hateful to people, and it's not going to do any good. It'd be like trolling in reverse. With frankincense, it was nice to stop in, but I got to get to the shop. Hey, I hope you have a great day too, Sensual Obsessions. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, dude. Sobriety is definitely catching on, even here in Wisconsin. That makes me super happy, by the way. I've heard that, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that amongst any bad things that maybe are becoming wildfire in the younger generations, I've heard that sobriety is starting to become kind of a thing. Like, even if it's a trend, I'm happy with that, regardless of the fuel behind it. I will say that's kind of shaky grounds, because if people are doing it just, because it's popular, in and of itself, doing the opposite could become popular at any time. And those same people would go back like we all did. But if there is any type of community that is encouraging young kids and teenagers to want to be sober, that brings me a lot of joy. And I would love nothing more than to know about that people are finding reasons to stay away from substances and like hurting their body. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Like I'm drinking a little energy drink here. It's got caffeine in it and stuff, and that's not good for me. And I try to stick to coffee, but even in and of itself, like technically it would probably be better for my vessels and so forth not to have any caffeine at all. So it's not like, we all take care of ourselves perfectly. I eat bad plenty of the time. But still, definitely substances is something I really try to encourage people. And I'm super happy to see a younger generation who's maybe trying to be more sober. It makes me feel a lot of joy and thankfulness for this world. Hope you have a great day. I hope you do too, buddy. Thank you for popping through. To my buddy also who asked me here, sorry I didn't answer you, YSL Dolce, or Dolce & Gabbana K in your opinion? Personally, YSL Y. Dolce & Gabbana K is nice, but I prefer the other way. I don't think people are doing it because it's popular. I think they're finally realizing the damage it does. I guess I'd probably say that same thing. Generations of family trauma from alcohol. Dolce & Gabbana is a very woody one. YSL, a little brighter. I definitely prefer the YSL. What do you think the best Eros is? Parfum. For me personally, Parfum. I always go Parfum. If you're getting a Versace Eros fragrance, I personally prefer the Parfum the most. It's one of my favorite fragrances of all time. The EDP is great. I don't really like the EDT. It's just something about the way it's blended. I'm just not the biggest fan of it, although it's not bad. It's just not for me. But the Parfum is my personal favorite. Alcohol is poison. That is true. I mean, in and of itself, that, a lot of people don't know this, but when you become intoxicated, that is considered by medical definition being alcohol poisoned. But typically when people think about alcohol poisoning, they normally relate that to the concept of being like way over the top, like your liver cannot handle it at this point and you need to go to the hospital. But alcohol is not good for you. So I'm not going to tell people that you can't have casual drinks. I'm just going to go ahead and sit here and say, though, it's not good for you. So it is bad for you no matter what you do. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys though so much when y'all are willing to come through and talk about this kind of stuff. Because again, when I say things like, I'm sober and I would like people to be able to go down that road too. When I talk about my 7 years of sobriety and try to connect with other people, I don't say that in the sense of like, I hope you guys, stop drinking today or whatever. I'm trying to push that at you. I'm just trying to let you guys know that there's other ways than being stuck to these kind of substances and concepts. And like, hopefully in your life, you'd like to work on taking better care of yourself and see that there is hope. Things are not hopeless, Buddy, I got internship at my college. Yeah, you've that's awesome. Everybody give a round of applause for you getting your internship at your college. That's fantastic, brother. What are you going to college for, by the way? But super happy for you. Super happy. I always want to celebrate anybody who pops through here. You know, if you ever become a regular in these live streams, I want to celebrate you guys. Like, bless you, dude. That's fantastic. Thank God for that. That's awesome. So if anytime we ever have any like little celebrations, if any of you guys end up finding out, you know, you're going to have a child, anything at all, like if you find out if you guys are getting married, you just started dating somebody, if you just passed a test at school, I don't care. I want us all to come together and celebrate our buddies when cool things happen. So that's fantastic, buddy. Super, super fantastic. Well, I appreciate like a good bit of the feedback that I've gotten so far because, like I said, you know, for the most part, I'm going to do what I'm feeling like doing in my heart anyway. But I just want to, you know, not fully alienate people who've been usuals to my channel in and of itself. Calcutta University, that's awesome. That is so cool, dude. I'm very happy for you that you got your internship. I don't know what all that's going to entail, what's going to come from that, but like seriously brings me lots of joy. Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel? Today I'm feeling Bleu de Chanel Parfum, but if we're talking Sauvage Parfum, that's one of my favorites. Bleu de Chanel technically doesn't creep into my top 10, but it is very close. It's in my top 20. So today, though, I'm definitely feeling Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Buddy, I'm going to celebrate it by having a cold coffee. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Get yourself a nice, delicious cold coffee. I'm going to do that same thing, although I shouldn't, because as you see, again, I'm having a little bit of an energy drink here, but I am going to get me a nice chilled decaf Americano, because apparently that's one of the only decaf cold things that Starbucks can make. What fragrance did you go with this morning? So me personally, what did I wear? That's actually, oh, okay. It's because I'm retrying. So I haven't tried this for a while, but Initio's Paragon. That's what I wore today because I wanted to like give it another shot and just, I like it, but it's not something that's for me. And I hate these days because even though I'm retesting them just to make sure when I do a thorough review, I'm giving you guys like a really honest, like I've tried this out. This is how it performs. So I'm going to give you guys really good opinions. It's strong, but it's not excessively powerful. But the notes, like when you wear something that's not really something that's you or it connects to you, it feels so strange. So over here, I wore Cedrat Bois Intense because I really love this one, just to make me feel a little bit better. How do you drink your coffee? Me personally, I like it either straight up black hot, straight black cold is one of my favorites. I like straight black, no sugar, no cream, just cold. My grandma, the one who's currently passing away, she's the one who, when I was very small, introduced me to black coffee. And I just like it that way if I want it like that. But also, I also enjoy like, you know, a Cappuccino. When me and my wife went to Germany, I became pretty into cappuccinos because it was like one of the easiest things just to grab and it was super cheap. So when we were in Munich and places like that, everywhere we went, I was like cappuccino and that was it. But so a cappuccino or a latte, which I found out is the same thing without the foam on the top, technically speaking, stuff like that. And then also every now and then we like the sweet drinks, like the oat milkshake and espresso is pretty good. But how do you like your coffee? But I do love me some cold coffee. I like it more than hot. My wife prefers hot. But I'm not going to go to Starbucks and have that expensive coffee. I'll make my own. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, brother. These coffee houses, yeah, they take an excessive amount of money from people. Like Starbucks is crazy. When I go in there, like I said, when I was in Germany, we were blown away because every single cafe we went to, for the most part, I could get a cappuccino for like $2.50, like $2.50, $3.25, something along those lines. I don't know if that's went up, you know, in the past year and a half since we've been there, but compared to Starbucks in America, I literally chuckled when we walked. There was a Starbucks in Munich, and it was right next to another coffee shop. And we walked into the coffee shop, and I got me a really nice large cappuccino for like $3. Went next door just to see what the Starbucks prices were, and like literally, even there, you're looking at like $7, $6, whatever. And I was like, "It's so stupid. Why do they charge this much?" Let me see. I like to make my own nice coffee at home, also. Heck yeah, buddy. But Bleu de Chanel or Eros Parfum? I'm going with Eros Parfum personally. Just throwing it out there. I don't know if y'all can hear that. That car speeding by sounds like a fart. I like it strong. I enjoy the actual coffee flavor. See, that's me. Like with a Frappuccino, for instance, my wife likes to get those, and I like them only if I can still taste the coffee. If I get that crap and it just tastes like a milkshake, I hate it. I like to taste my coffee strong, bro. I really don't understand the different type of coffee. I just buy Nescafe. Hey, dude, ain't nothing wrong with that. I tried to get into like, because just like perfumery, right? Like we talk about fragrances or whatever, and like books or whatever. I tried to get into coffee because I know it's a very popular thing, but at the end of the day, just give me a nice black coffee, something very bold, strong, or like I said, give me a nice, just typical cappuccino, all that extra junk. I don't really get it. People who do all those like brewing rituals, it's cool though. People have their own hobbies and stuff, but it just ain't my style. I am about to end this stream, though, by the way. I really appreciate you guys having stopped through here. It's meant so much to me. Just want to throw this out there. Doing these streams, like I said, has really been helping my hours continue to climb. And I'm almost to the point now where I can start receiving super chats. I might literally about a week or so away. I'm not saying you guys are going to start doing that, but I'm saying I'm almost to that point. And then after that, I'm about a month and some change away from when I'm finally going to start actually getting paid doing this. So very excited about that. Very, very excited. I'm very close to that point where I'm finally going to hit those hours. So thank you guys for having popped through all these times and hung out with me. But like I said, I just want to know how you guys felt about those other things. I guess right now with the people who are left and watching, maybe see if I can get a general consensus before I do my peace out prayer. If you guys are, think just keep it Douglas Moon Fragrance, or Douglas Moon Fragrance and Faith. If you guys think I should change the name to something like that. So again, anybody who hasn't been here for the whole thing, the main thing about this channel is I'm going forward, I want to start doing more ancient religious and then current religious scriptural studies. That doesn't just mean, even though I'm a Christian, just straight up reading the Bible studies and stuff that I'm going to take people through. It also does mean, again, reading the Bhagavad Gita and things like that, and kind of explaining to people and teaching people what other beliefs are like as well during those discussions. But I'm doing Bible studies, doing actual little ministry services and stuff like that for people who don't have a church they go to, things along those lines. So anybody who are regulars here, if you're cool with that, I really appreciate it. And you're more than welcome to pop through and let me know what you think. So, Sam, let me know if you need another moderator. I definitely do. I'm going to add you real quick to that, buddy, because I really would appreciate it. All right. You are officially able to help me out. So, you guys popping through, my buddy, Mick, you are more than welcome to help me out, be a moderator and stuff whenever you're here part of these streams. Saying the EDP is in the middle, some parfum and some ET. Yes, it is. So EDP, at least with the Eros, if that's what you're talking about, is around the middle range of that scent profile for the most part. And John, thank you for popping back through, buddy. But yeah, Mick, you are definitely a moderator now. So super happy to have you here, my friend. There is nothing more strange, no offense to this person, when you park in the far reaches of a parking lot, when you go do these things, and then some random person just chooses the parking spot right beside you when you're doing something like this. That actually happened. My stupid growth thing I do, like I said, I learned from my dad, unfortunately, where if I got to really go and I'm driving and I pee in a bottle, I did that once. Don't ask me how, but I managed to pull that off while I was still driving down the interstate. Very dangerous. Don't recommend anybody doing that. But as I'm doing it, I heard a honk next to me, which made me jump and kind of spill, which is gross. And I looked up, and the dude in a big truck just happened to pull up next to me. He was looking down inside my Kia, my Hyundai Accent, and he was looking at me laughing. And I was like, whoopsie. For all of them or for most? Well, for a lot of fragrances, definitely so. I would say, well, yeah, for all fragrances, the eau de parfum is typically going to be a little bit of a blend in between. The parfum and EDT is like a fragrance profile. But in most cases, there's going to be a core DNA, but between EDT, EDP, and parfum, of variations in the notes in and of itself. So, yeah, it was it was rough. But can you show me some moves? What little bit of dance moves I can do, in this limited little space. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for your input. This has been a very helpful stream for me in and of itself. And I thank you guys because I think that's what I'm going to do. I like streamers that can speak on various topics off the cuff and interact with their members. Well, again, it means the world to me you guys even come through, because I cannot stress enough, if it wasn't for you guys, my channel would be pointless for any YouTuber. That's what bothers me about when YouTubers get a little too big. I understand the more you grow, it's hard to keep up with maybe comments and junk like that, especially the bigger you get, the more people coming through, the more trolls, all this other stuff. It can be kind of hard to manage, which is what mods are for. But I want personally just always keep up with you guys the best I can. And I'm starting to realize my channel's gearing towards becoming more of a streamer, necessarily speaking, than just straight up like a video poster. And I like it. It's actually been very fun doing it. I never thought I'd be streaming, but since I've been hanging out with you guys and getting to know y'all. So to anybody who's popping through, this has technically speaking been a fragrance channel thus far. It's going to continue to be a fragrance review channel in and of itself. But as a believer, personally, I'm going to start speaking more openly about my faith and stuff, and just having little Bible study videos. And as well, we're going to do and maybe feature some of my friends who are full throttle scholars with their PhDs, do religious histories and ancient Near East studies sometimes just for fun. So I know that's all over the place. We're going to also continue to talk about and encourage people in their sobriety and stuff, especially someone who's 7 years sober. So anybody's welcome to come here and just, maybe pour out some of your troubles and shoot the breeze and hang out. So everybody's welcome here. just letting you know. So like I said, if you're new here, anybody's welcome to ask questions and hang out as long as we're being good and respectful to other people. And I appreciate y'all. And again, this channel wouldn't matter without other people. So thank you so much for taking the time to come through and even watch. Can you suggest for me what to do at this situation? My female professor flirts with me and I don't want to make any relation except a teacher and a student. What should I do? How can I deal with it? That's definitely really tricky. If she's like genuinely flirting with you, to be honest with you, well, it's a tricky situation because you never know how people are going to respond. But I would personally just tell you my best advice. I've never been in a situation, but I've been in situations mildly similar. The only thing you can ever do is just be straight up. If somebody's flirting with you, the best thing you can do, even if it's awkward and confrontation can be weird for people, is just be real and say, hey, just want to clarify, I feel maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, I'm sorry. So be respectful like that, but say maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, I'm totally sorry. But it feels like every now and then maybe there's a little flirtatiousness going on, and just want to let you know, like, I'm just not in a place for stuff like that. I'm not personally just very interested in that kind of thing right now. So something along those lines to say, but hey, I really appreciate it though at the same time. And if I'm wrong, again, I'm so sorry. I don't mean any offense. Something like that could be a very helpful way to go. But if you are feeling uncomfortable, not speaking about it is not really a good way to go. And that kind of happens in most situations. Your story inspires me. Hey, thank you, Brother Mick, for being here in the first place. I appreciate it so much. Well, with that being said, like I said, I'm about to end this bad boy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that closing prayer. Again, if anybody's got any questions or whatever while I do it, you're more than welcome to join. I'm going to turn the camera off me. I don't know why. I just don't like the camera being on me while I do that because I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, about to do my closing prayer. And if anybody's got any questions, you're more than welcome to drop them in the comments before I go. And I'll see if I can get back to you. But dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you for this stream with my buddies here. And I pray that, if it's part of this journey that you want me to start actually being a little bit more, doing more preaching, teaching, and so forth on this channel, along with my fragrances and stuff like that. Like, I love that even through fragrances and the beautiful art, perfumery, you allow me to connect these people at all. And I love that through streaming, like, as much issues as I personally complain all the time, Lord, forgive me, about social media and stuff, how it impacts us, including myself. I'm thankful that even through this, I've got the chance to connect these people and make these buddies, and I see these as genuine people I get to connect to. It means the world to me. So I thank you for these people, Lord. I thank you for these opportunities, and I thank you for this day. And I pray for blessings and just peace for each and every one of the people who come through here. And I pray, Father, that they get to know you and get to understand the fullness of this life and the truth and the beauty and your glory, and get to experience and come to know who they really are and understand through you all the purposes and beauty you made for them to be and to experience in this life. And if anybody is going through substance abuse or dealing with those kinds of struggles, I pray that they're able to lift it up to you and as well see within themselves the ability and the freedom of will that you gave them to make the change, that they don't have to be a slave or bonded to the addictions that they have. Like, they have the ability to rise up and overcome. So I just say, I hope that they surrender it to you, and I surrender to you, Lord, everything, every day. And I just pray for your love and your forgiveness and peace. And I thank you for your endless grace and mercy. So in the name of Jesus, I thank you for your love and your sacrifice. And for these people watching, I just pray for their blessings and peace. Thank you, God. In the name of Jesus, amen. Thank y'all so much for having taken, Thank y'all so much for having taken the time to pop through. I appreciate y'all. Real quick, let me see if I'm missing anything. Have you tried any of that niche day 3 house? I have not. I'm sorry. Let me see. Any recommendations for vetiver cologne? Actually, slow down. Not really. I'm sorry about this. I'm not a huge fan of vetiver fragrances myself, but if anybody in the chat can, please be sure to help. What I'll do is make sure she's flirting with you by seeing how she talks. Absolutely. Like, that's another thing, buddy. Make sure you, as you are kind of experiencing, just make sure she's not just being super nice, because sometimes people think that people are flirting with them and they're just being very nice. So just make sure first the best you can. But definitely, yeah. Amen. God bless you. Thank you, Mick. Thank you, JJ, for popping through. I have heard good things so far about day 3. Okay, cool. Yeah, I always love it when you guys are able to help each other out. Well, like I said, as always, please feel free to go check out my other review videos. The Oud for Greatness I posted recently is doing pretty bad. So if you guys would love to give it a little love on there, go leave some comments, like, and all that stuff, and share. It means a lot to me. So with that being said, going to start posting more family content. Going to repost some of the family videos of me and my kids and my wife from my old channel, and then start making more like just general like family vlogs and stuff on here, just having fun, and continue to stream and hang out with y'all as a whole. So, and again, I'm going to start doing my Bible studies on here. I'm also going to start teaching you guys from a more educational and then as well a more moderate and explanatory concept of, like, again, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads. I'm also going to go through respectfully through the Quran. from a non-believer stance, but as well being respectful to it. So that way we can have a better understanding of what people believe in this world. Because if I'm going to have a community where we're all like coming together and getting along and hanging out, but I also am a person who's passionate about my faith, I also want you guys to be respectful to other people as best you can. If I can contribute to that through any disagreements or whatever, that would mean a lot to me. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. What's your opinion on Creed fragrances? They're not the best. They are very, excuse me, hold on. Let me start the car because it's getting a little hot in here. So Creed fragrances were very innovative for their time, but they of today, especially due to reformulations, do not last nearly as good as they should for the price that you pay. So I don't really recommend them. But Silver Mountain Water and Milsom Imperial are the best ones to me personally. And then the new is excessively expensive, but the Creed Aventus Absolute is not bad either. No wonder I'm burning up, dude. But I do vetivers, but man, there's a lot. Creed's original vetiver niching. So thank you, JJ, for helping out. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a big vetiver person myself. I'll get a 10 out of 10 baddie, age, not know what I like. Yeah, you're absolutely right, buddy. You're absolutely right. Well, thank you guys for stopping through. Like I said, please, if you're willing to do a little bit of support, go check out my Oud for Greatness video from recently, because again, I'm just want a little bit more love on that before I start doing new things. But I think maybe this Wednesday afternoon, maybe tonight, who knows, but this Wednesday afternoon, I'm probably going to do one of my first Bible study streams, just to give you guys an idea about what that's going to look like. By the way, it's 38 degrees here, brother. Going to be beautiful, 70. Heck yeah, that's awesome. Just to give you guys a quick overview of what I'm going to do is going to look like for anybody who's stuck around so far. And I am going to make this quick, I promise, because I actually unfortunately got to hit that bathroom inside the store this time. As a person who has IBS, bye. Thank you, John, for popping through. I appreciate y'all. As a person who's got irritable bowel syndrome, you can imagine I got to go to that potty all the time. But real quick, when I do start doing my study streams, just throwing this out there, I'm going to be using this. This is the SBL Study Bible for anybody who's curious. It is not a theological study Bible. It also includes the Deuterocanonical books. But it is a mix between people who are believers and non-believers, everybody who's in the highest up-to-date current scholarship. I do not agree with everything that's taught in the study notes or the introductions, but for somebody who really wants to understand their history and other stuff, it has excellent introductions, very well worded, and very well done explanatory notes, but I also will include my own differentiary beliefs. Is the best way I can put it. So if anybody's willing to join this SBL study streams when we get into them, I'm going to strictly be reading from it, and then as well doing explanations on the side, my own personal stances on certain things. So thank you so much for coming through as well. Other than that particular stuff, like I said, there will be piece by piece, chapter by chapter streams and breakdowns as well, going through the Hindu text, going through the Corpus Hermeticum, all different types of esoteric scriptures and beliefs from the past. So again, coming from a Christian stance, but as well somebody who's interested in these histories and wants to just give some general education, just talk about this stuff as a whole. I might even do a series reading through the books, teaching you the history of perfumery. So that'd be kind of fun to do as well. So thank you guys so much for popping through it real quick. I was just curious because I found some at a rummage sale. I mean, hey, if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. But definitely be there for the studies. Heck yeah. Well, like I said, Wednesday morning, if I can, I'm going to try to go ahead and do my usual fragrance videos, do a fragrance stream, stuff along the lines. But then Wednesday evening, if I can, or maybe I'll do the opposite. Wednesday morning, I think I'm going to go ahead and do the scriptural studies video. And then Wednesday evening, I'm going to do my normal fragrance stream, something like that, because I'm off Wednesdays. So like I said, tomorrow I'm definitely going to be working my normal schedule at my job. But then Wednesdays, I'm going to be doing that for you guys. And then Sundays, either Sunday mornings or Sunday nights, I think maybe if the best that I can, I'm going to do both. So Wednesdays and Sundays, I'm going to try to do a little bit of both. We'll do the faith-based religious studies, maybe at some point morning or night. We'll figure that out and then do the fragrance stuff later on. Really fell off from his rapping career. Yes, I did, Corey Peters. Yes, I did. I've got to look up what Logic looks like. Everybody keeps telling me I look like Logic. I used to hear all kinds of stuff, man, Shrek, and all that crap, like when Shrek became a human being. But people who say that I look like Logic, I really got to look this dude up because I do not remember what he looks like. Had to get that last troll in. Hey, I'll see it is fun. What's up, Freighter? But yeah, I've always got an interest in this. I got to see what this guy looks like. I heard that he's mixed, but I'm not entirely sure if that's true. I'm saying that because I think I've heard that Logic said a word he might not should have, but I don't know if that was bad enough. You do kind of. Logic is one of the. I've never heard his music either. I don't know what he actually sounds like, but I might have to check that out when I get off here. This is unimportant to anybody, but yesterday Fergie was on outside, and my wife actually tried to argue with me that Fergie was actually a really good musician. Just throwing this out there, not that anybody cares, but I disagree. I'm not a big Fergie fan, but it is what it is. Especially after I saw her do that. And we all have our bad days, but after I saw her do that, what do you call it? The Star Spangled Banner or whatever, that was bad. So unimportant, but just throwing it out there. I think his dad would have been white. Oh, okay. So now I know. But anyway, yeah, God bless you guys. I appreciate y'all so much. Everybody who stopped through here and everybody who hung out for the prayer and stuff has been very important. So prepare for the Bible studies this Wednesday. I'm going to do more fragrance content as well. I'm not going to I don't know if I'm going to post an actual full throttle fragrance review again. I'm going to start doing fragrance reviews during my stream in front of the collection more regularly, but again, anybody's welcome to stop through. If you want to go check out my actual videos, please, you're more than welcome to do so. And I'll be seeing you guys next time. God bless y'all, and I'll see you later.